Hey, shalom everyone. This is Michael. I'm here on the road and I've got a quick message about bread, the Torah, and Messiah. All right, well, how do those go together? Already our gluten-free brothers and sisters are wondering how these things go together. You know, rabbis say in the Talmud that one of the main reasons we received the Torah at the Great Mountain was because we ate the bread of the manna. Maybe manna was gluten-free. I'm not so sure. Now, it's kind of interesting. It needs some explanation. And the reason is they say that it was when we consumed of the manna, the manna, what is it? We were receiving the presence of God within us physically. Now, the presence of God was then in our DNA, and we had the ability at that point to receive the Torah. That you can't truly receive the Torah unless you share some of that actual likeness with the Father. It's a very interesting concept, is that the manna, the bread of God, actually affected our DNA forever. And Pirkei Avot, which is the writings of another a more recent sage, said that in a simple statement: no flour, no Torah. And of course, the flour being the thing that makes the bread. And it's a very interesting thing. So no flour, no Torah. What does that mean? Well, he's not saying that you can't study Torah without eating bread. What he's saying here is very, very simple, is that you cannot receive the depths of the Torah and the understanding of the Torah until your physical needs have been met. You know, it's very interesting. So what he's saying is, eat first and then study Torah. I have no problem with that. At the Olive Tree Messianic Synagogue, we do that very well. Have a little food, have a little coffee, and then we discuss the Torah. And that's when we really can receive it. We're not worried about our next meal. We just had our meal. A lot of times it's on a Shabbat. We're not worried about work. We are just there to study Torah, and we can truly receive it when our physical needs are met, which leads us obviously to another point. When we meet each other's actual physical needs, we allow deeper fellowship in Torah. It's that breaking bread that leads us to study Torah together. Now, Yeshua in Yochanan, John, and John is known as John the Mystic. This is not John the Baptizer. This is John the Mystic. So, Mystic is he was the deepest, right? Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, the 4 levels of studying Torah: Parshat, Remez, Drash, and Sod. He was the Sod of the Gospels. He was the essentially the deepest, most spiritual, and we call that mystic. So, John the Mystic. Now, when Yeshua is in there and he goes, eat of my flesh and drink of my blood, he's not talking about Catholicism or what many people would call transubstantiation. Long word, I know. Transubstantiation is the common teaching, is a common belief, mostly in Catholicism, that when you actually drink of wine or the juice, and then you eat of the bread or the sacrament cracker, that it physically turns into blood and flesh of Messiah within your body. Which is another reason why we need to understand and study the ancient Hebraic thought when we read the New Testament. Otherwise, we're going to think that the Messiah was physically saying, okay, be a cannibal. No, we should be accountable, not a cannibal. But this eat of my flesh, what does that mean? As he offers this matzah, okay? What he's saying is, I want you to put the DNA of God and of the presence of God within you, my DNA, because Yeshua HaNatzari, the Jesus, the grapevine, has a share with the presence with the God of Israel. So when he shares that presence, and he shares that presence with us, we as well receive that DNA, which means we as well can receive the depths of and understandings of the Torah. The Messiah is the deep knowledge of the Torah himself, but he also does the basic feeding that we need, the loaves and the fishes, right? He supplies the basic needs of the people, even commands us to go out and to feed and to be there. All over the scripture, commands us to be people of righteous giving, people of charity, people who will feed the hungry and clothe the naked and house the homeless and visit people in jail, but also to be undefiled from the world. So there's this whole be in the world but not be of it. But Yeshua the Messiah, and like our ministries today and like our lives today, and if we were to share the good news of the Torah, or of the Messiah, the gospel with anybody, we ought to take care of their practical physical needs first. With a full belly, yes, people will listen and absorb the words of God. It is not just a selfish thing by selfish means. It is right here by the sages. It is here in Pirkei Avot. It is here in the Torah, and it is absolutely here in the teachings of Messiah. Because it is his DNA that purifies us. And that's the DNA we want to share with people. They accept the DNA of God through Yeshua, through Messiah, after we've had a little bit of bread. And sometimes, spiritually, it's that bread that also enters that is the DNA that enters into you when you consume of it, like the Messiah says. So hope this makes sense. Bread, Torah, and the Messiah. Real short little drush here. I pray and hope you guys are doing phenomenal. Sukkot is over. We've rolled up the scroll. Chazak, chazak, vanit chazeh. And we're starting with Bereshit this Shabbat in the new building that we're trying out. So I'm very excited about all the wonderful things that are happening with the ministry. Thank you guys. We ask for your continual support with prayers. If you'd like to donate to the ministry, go to the Olive Tree Messianic Synagogue Facebook page. In the very top, there will be a square link for donations. So thank you so much to help us keep the ministry growing and keep it going and growing. Bless you guys in Messiah. Receive his DNA today so that you may also dwell within the presence of God, and the presence of God will dwell within you. Shalom Aleichem.